The road to a Rugby World Cup is never built in a single season. It is shaped by decisions made months, sometimes years, before the biggest matches ever begin. And right now, one decision is creating plenty of discussion across the rugby world. According to former Ireland international Bernard Jackman, the biggest difference between New Zealand Rugby and Rugby Australia is not just the coaches they selected, it is the timing of those appointments. While both nations prepared for a new chapter, they chose completely different paths, and many believe those choices could influence their future in ways that are only starting to become clear. When New Zealand Rugby announced that Dave Rennie would become the new head coach of the All Blacks, many supporters immediately started wondering how quickly he could make an impact. Replacing Scott Robertson was always going to be a huge challenge because expectations around the All Blacks are unlike those of almost any other international rugby team. Every selection is analyzed, every result is judged, and every performance is expected to meet an incredibly high standard. Yet instead of rushing into the role immediately, Dave Rennie completed his commitments with the Kobelco Kobe Steelers in Japan before officially taking charge. That careful transition allowed him to arrive with a clear focus and a fresh vision, giving himself enough time to prepare for the nation's championship while respecting his previous responsibilities. So far, that decision appears to be paying off. The All Blacks opened their campaign with victories over France and Italy, showing encouraging signs under their new coach. While no team becomes perfect overnight, supporters have already noticed improvements in the team's confidence, discipline, and overall structure. Every match has provided another opportunity for Dave Rennie to understand his players better, experiment with combinations, and begin building the style of rugby he wants the All Blacks to play. Instead of simply chasing short-term victories, there is a growing feeling that the coaching staff is building something that can continue to improve as bigger challenges arrive. Former international hooker Bernard Jackman believes one reason for this positive start is the timing of Dave Rennie's appointment. Speaking about the situation, he explained that preparation time is one of the most valuable resources any international coach can have. A head coach is responsible for far more than selecting the starting 15. They must create a culture, establish trust within the squad, communicate a clear game plan, understand individual strengths, and build confidence across the entire group. None of these things happen in a matter of days. They require time, patience, and consistent work behind the scenes. According to Bernard Jackman, New Zealand Rugby understood this reality. By allowing Dave Rennie to begin his journey before the countdown to the Rugby World Cup became too short, the All Blacks gained valuable weeks that cannot be replaced. Every training session, every meeting, and every international match becomes another opportunity to strengthen the team's identity. In elite sport, those extra opportunities often make the difference between good teams and championship-winning teams. The comparison becomes even more interesting when looking across the Tasman Sea. Rugby Australia also decided to appoint a new head coach, selecting Les Kiss to lead the Wallabies into the future. However, unlike New Zealand's approach, Les Kiss is only scheduled to officially take over after Joe Schmidt completes the current nation's championship campaign. That means Australia continues under Joe Schmidt while their future coach waits on the sidelines before fully stepping into the role. For Bernard Jackman, this delay represents a missed opportunity. He was careful to praise Joe Schmidt, describing him as one of rugby's outstanding coaches, making it clear that his comments were not criticism of the current Wallabies boss. Instead, his focus was entirely on preparation. In his opinion, every international match leading toward a World Cup is incredibly valuable, and by waiting until after the nation's championship, Australia may have lost precious time that could have helped Les Kiss establish his own systems, relationships, and coaching philosophy. The contrast between the two nations highlights how success in international rugby is often determined by decisions that fans never see. Supporters usually judge coaches by wins and losses, but behind every result are months of planning, conversations, analysis, and preparation. Building a successful international team requires far more than tactical knowledge. It requires trust between coaches and players, clarity in communication, and confidence in a long-term vision. Those foundations take time to develop, and once that time is gone, it cannot simply be recovered. As the All Blacks prepare for another major challenge against Ireland at Eden Park, There is already growing curiosity about how much further this team can develop under Dave Rennie. Every victory builds belief, but every difficult test also provides valuable lessons. Facing strong opponents gives coaches the chance to evaluate combinations under pressure and discover which players are ready for the biggest moments. These experiences become essential as the road toward future tournaments continues. At the same time, Australia faces its own important questions. Once Les Kiss officially takes charge, attention will quickly turn toward how rapidly he can shape the Wallabies into genuine contenders. There will undoubtedly be excitement around a fresh beginning, but there will also be pressure to make up for lost time. International rugby rarely offers the luxury of slow rebuilding, especially when major tournaments continue to approach. What makes this discussion so fascinating is that there is no guarantee either approach will ultimately prove correct. Rugby has always been a game capable of surprising even the most experienced experts. Teams expected to dominate can struggle, while those facing criticism can suddenly produce remarkable performances. Yet timing remains one factor that every successful program values because preparation creates opportunities, and opportunities often become results. For now, the early signs suggest that Dave Rennie's journey with the All Blacks has begun in a positive direction. The victories over France and Italy have given supporters reasons to be optimistic, while respected voices like Bernard Jackman believe New Zealand Rugby deserves credit for making an important decision at exactly the right moment. Whether that advantage continues throughout the coming months will only be answered on the field, but one thing is already certain. In international rugby, championships are not won only by brilliant performances during 80 minutes. They are also shaped by smart decisions made long before the opening whistle, and sometimes the most important victory begins with simply choosing the right time to start.